Wait a minute, is that?
That's just around the corner? We can get there?
We're here!
We're here!
In Kuttenberg, the confirmed location of Kingdom Come Deliverance II. Now, you might know Kingdom Come Deliverance I as the most historically accurate medieval RPG ever made, or you might know it because it was free in 2020 from the Epic Games Store, just 3 years after it was published, actually.
And if you're wondering if Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 might be free from Epic, it might be in a few years. You should definitely be subscribed to us because we cover all the free games all over the internet.
But let's talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, definitely my biggest hype for 2024. And I think we're in a really good position to tell you about the game and the locations because, well, we live in the Czech Republic. I've lived in Prague for 7 years. I have a master's degree in history, and I'm a big fan of the first game. And
I am a Czech myself, and I've visited Kutná Hora several times, so we'll be glad if you can join us to show you around and to know how it feels to be in this town.
And this is the town of Kuttenberg in the game because in 1403 they were using German names, but the Czechs call it
Kutná Hora.
Let's go explore.
Let's go.
Halt! You shall not pass! Halt! You shall not pass!
You again, I'm gonna kill you now! Get in the way. I hope he doesn't respawn. I'm getting hungry. Kutná Hora is going to be actually the second map. It's going to be bigger than the first one. It should be as big as the whole first Kingdom Come Deliverance, and this is going to be the biggest city of the game. The developer said that it's really maybe too big because each character has its own life and you can follow him, and he's gonna do what he would do probably back in 1400. So this is going to be really a realistic simulation of medieval life in Czech Republic, in Kutná Hora.
So this is what it's really all about in Kuttenberg, silver. This is the Museum of Silver. Underneath there's actually one of the ancient silver mines, and this is what made the city so rich and powerful and what will be so interesting in Kingdom Come Deliverance II. The first mention of silver in Kuttenberg was in the 10th century, but by the time of Kingdom Come Deliverance in the 1400s, Kuttenberg was producing a third of the silver in all of Europe, which is an extraordinary amount. This is actually why Sigismund attacked Kuttenberg before the events of the first game, in fact in 1402, to get the wealth of the city. And it's estimated that he managed to loot 1 million gold ducats, which in today's money would be about $150 million. Now with those funds, his army was able to go and attack Skalitz and do a lot more damage, possibly even more damage in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. But if you're hoping to come as Henry to Kuttenberg and steal all the shiny things, you might find that Sigismund's troops have already taken quite a bit and there might be some damage to repair here. However, knowing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I guess there's still going to be lots of shiny bling to get out of Kuttenberg in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And you can see there one of the most powerful churches, the Church of St. James, which is the oldest stone church in Kuttenberg. It was actually started in 1330, but not completed until 1420. So considering that the events of KCD2 are going to start in 1403, this church will probably be uncompleted at the time, much like the monastery of Sassau probably. We'll probably see some scaffolding and structures there, possibly that we can climb to get into the church surreptitiously, because this is going to be definitely a center of power for the monastic authorities in Kuttenberg during KCD2. And this is going to be a really important factor of the game. It's not confirmed yet, but there is at this time a power struggle between the city administration and the church administration who are trying to control the silver wealth. There's a few other things that show that conflict, and we're going to show you actually 2 other churches that might even be more important than the Church of St. James. So in the trailer for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, we get several epic views of the city of Kuttenberg and get to see the epic walls surrounding the whole place. And in fact, the developers tell us that Kuttenberg might actually be too big for a video game city.
But there's actually no castle right now nowadays, and there seems to be castle before, but there's probably no castle of Kutná Hora in the game, because this is 1403 and it is going to be the biggest town of the game, but still compared to nowadays it's going to be much smaller and might completely look different. So we really wonder what's going to be still there.
Definitely it looks very different than what we see behind us here, but these types of walls probably went all the way around the city. That is not only behind us, but stretching around there. So this gives you a sense of the epic scale of this city and just how much effort went into bringing medieval Kuttenberg to life in the game. I don't know about you, Mikhail, but those walls look like the perfect place to set up with a crossbow or a boomstick and pick off enemy soldiers down below.
And we know for a fact that the developers hired 2 historians that helps, and they were full-time. They make this for 6 years, a lot of time to do really deep exploration, how the city looked hundreds of years ago.
And I can't wait to live there. So of course we don't know exactly what the map is going to look like, but we do know that the Kuttenberg map is going to be even bigger than the entire first game. It will be dominated by Kutná Hora, and I think the top east corner is going to be Malín, where the mines are. There's a lot of talk online about Sukdol in the west being included, as well as Malešov down here in the south, and this cool lake as well. That would make the map look something like this right here. Let us know what you think.
When we prepared for this trip, we actually took out some pictures from the trailer, we printed them out in color, and we tried to recognize everything that we can find in Kutná Hora, and I think we found quite a perfect match. Of course, it looks quite different now, but there is the white building on the left with the arches and the big one on the right one. It's called Kamenný dvůr, and today it's a museum.
So you definitely won't see this column in KCD2 because it was built in the 18th century, but it commemorates the Black Death, which first struck Bohemia in 1348 and then continued returning to the kingdom at least once a decade until the early 1400s. Now we already see this quite clearly in the first game, as many people are sick, and this is actually the theme of several of the main side quests. It might be an even bigger theme in Kingdom Come Deliverance II because of the importance of Sedlet's church, and we're going to tell you more about that in just a moment.
So there's a lot of arches around in this town, and it's really hard to say which one exactly fits the one that is in the trailer, but I think this is what we found, and it is as close to the trailer as possible. But imagine 600 years ago it must have looked quite different. So let us know in the comments if it looks similar to you.
So we've said there's not actually a castle at Kuttenberg, which is true. There's the walls all the way around the city, but there was never something you would call a castle except for here. This is known as the Italian court. It was actually a palace, but it was at its peak during the time that KCD2 is going to be placed. And look at this. This is as castle as a castle can get. We can definitely expect Henry to spend a lot of time in this courtyard here, probably to be defending this gate from attackers, visiting nobles up in these hallways here, and probably looting lots and lots of shiny stuff. And one thing is definitely confirmed, that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is going to have giant balls. Okay, so in fact, in the very opening scenes of the live reveal of the Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance trailer, it was night, but we saw these statues on a bridge, and I was convinced that it was Charles Bridge in Prague, but it's not.
It's actually close to the St. Barbora church, and we're just walking next to it right now.
So definitely, even the reveal was filmed in Kuttenberg, and we're going to tell you that this church might not have existed in the game, but they still did a lot of the footage for the reveal inside this amazing cathedral right up here. And one amazing fact about this incredible building is that when they started building it, they designed it to be twice as big, and still it took them centuries to finish it. So this just says how ambitious, and the sense of like unlimited wealth that was flowing through Kuttenberg at that time. They thought they could build one of the biggest cathedrals in Europe. And then the silver mine started to slow down. The Hussite wars in the 1420s started to cause problems. We're not going to see that in the game. We're definitely going to see this under construction though, and it's probably going to be part of some political struggles.
Another thing that was confirmed is that there's going to be a criminal system. You can be put up to jail, you can be even branded, and that might open some new conversations and It will disappear over time, but it's nice to have a branding, being in a prison, and more ways to look you down. And as we talked to the developers, we asked them if there's going to be Trdelník, the traditional Czech sweet, and they didn't deny it, so confirmed.
And we end here in Sedlec Monastery, which is about 1.5 kilometers outside of the Kutná Hora city center. The story of this church really gets started with a monk named Henry. Now don't get ahead of us. This Henry is from over 100 years before the events of Kingdom Come Deliverance. But this monk went to Jerusalem to pick up some soil from the spot where Jesus was crucified. He returned to Bohemia and sprinkled it on this site. It immediately became a very popular place to be buried, so much so that the cemetery soon reached capacity. And around the year 1400, the monastery started building a church with an ossuary at the center of the graveyard. So we can see this church in the trailer, but the ossuary will be only 3 years into construction. Well, this site became a very important part of any visits to Kutná Hora, but later in time, because in the 1500s, tens of thousands of graves were exhumed to make more space in the graveyard, and the human remains were stacked inside the church. In 1870, a wood carver was employed to create a more artistic arrangement to display the skeletal remains, and the results yield what we now call the Bone Church. Today, this is a very popular and somewhat bizarre site for tours to Kutná Hora, and you should definitely visit if you're in the neighborhood. But I think Henry is going to be spending a lot of time here because in 1403, this was actually the most important church in the whole region, which was quite problematic for the city of Kutná Hora because they controlled the silver wealth and the city wanted to try to get control back. So Henry is probably going to have some missions here, similar perhaps to Sasau Monastery in Kingdom Come Deliverance I. And I can say that if you're looking to loot some sweet silver candlesticks, this is probably going to be the place.
And as we already mentioned, Kutná Hora is actually second map in the sequel of Kingdom Come Deliverance, and we're planning to go to Trdelník, which should be the very beginning, the first map. You can watch that video next, and it would really help us if you like this video, maybe make a comment, because that way we know that you're interested in this series and we can make it series more than 2 videos that we're planning.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot more to explore, especially once the game comes out. So stay with us, stay subscribed. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next video.